Kimber Carbon Compact. This is kind of an R7 Mako, maybe on steroids. 15 round magazine. I've only got 10 rounds in it right now. Let's try it here at 10 yards, at 12 yards, and just see what it'll do on the plates. Let's start by asking Alice which way we should go. And Alex says this time right to left. A little bit of hesitation there. And how about the red standing prairie dog? And a couple on the silhouette.
I know. Yet another entry into the crowded polymer frame striker fired. They call it compact, but it's more of a mid-size semi-automatic pistol market. Really crowded market. So is the Kimber Carbon Compact any different than the rest of them? Well, you may be surprised. Stay with me. All right, thanks for dropping in while we take a look at the Kimber Carbon Compact. Let's get the comparisons out of the way first of all, because again, it's just another striker-fired compact type gun. So let's look at a few here. Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. Basically the same height. They're all the same capacity, 15 rounds, give or take, same length. 3.92 inch stainless steel barrel on the Kimber, but it makes it just a hair shorter than the Smith & Wesson. And let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, the standard bearer, I guess, would be the Glock 7 or Glock 19. And again, it's roughly the same height by the time you figure the base plate on the Glock magazine. Again, 15 round magazine, and certainly about the same length, roughly. All right, a couple others that are new to the market here. Well, not, I wouldn't say really new. The Rost Martin, and again, 15 round, kind of based on the Glock design originally, and about the same length overall. And even the Arex Delta. I mean, there are a lot of them to compare size-wise, and they're all about the same. Now, the difference between the Kimber and the Smith & Wesson and the Glock, there are some differences. I want to talk about those in just a second. But again, the Rost Martin and the Arex Delta sort of got Glock patterns, but this one is a little bit different. First of all, it's the grown-up brother of the R7 Mako. Came out a few years ago. I did a review on this one a while back, and this one came from Kimber with the Crimson Trace optic on it and co-witnessed iron sights that actually do work pretty good with that Crimson Trace. The Carbon Compact is available in with or without an optic, and it can come from the factory with the Holosun 407K on there, or you can get it with or without threaded barrel. You can get a combination of threaded barrel and optic, or just plain with optics ready as opposed to optics included. All right, so we know the similarity. Oh, one other thing too. I'll talk very briefly about weights to get the similarities out of the way. Let's look at the weight of the Kimber Carbon Compact to start with, and we'll put 15 rounds of 124 grain ammunition with one more for the chamber, and we're at 32.1 ounces. Let's get the heavyweight out of the way first, and that's going to be the M&P 2.0, however you want to say it, Smith & Wesson. Again, so we're going to be at 34.3 for the Smith. That's the heavyweight of the lot. And let's go down to the next lightest, I guess, would be the Glock. And again, okay, it's got a threaded barrel on it, which makes it just a hair heavier, but still not bad. 31.6. The Rost Martin, we're going down in scale here, weight-wise. Rost Martin, 30.3. And we'll leave all that up there and put the Arex Delta next to it, and we are 29.9. So again, the Kimber is a little heavier than everything except the Smith & Wesson. So it certainly isn't really groundbreaking in that point. Okay, but again, I mentioned that it is the big brother of the Kimber R7 Mako, and put them side by side. Obviously, the Carbon Compact is a little longer and obviously a little taller. Notice on the back of the slide, though, that looks really similar. In fact, the front and rear slide serrations almost identical to the Mako. They go up just a little farther onto the angled part of the slide on the Carbon Compact than they do, but very similar there. The ambidextrous slide stop lever is the same, certainly on both guns. The takedown is the same. Magazine release, again, ambidextrous on both guns, or for those of you who prefer the other pronunciation, ambidextrous. I don't go for that one, but hey, neither here nor there. Texture is a little bit different. We'll come back to that here in a minute. Oh, the Carbon Compact has a 3-slot rail on it, whereas not much of a rail at all. I think that's designed maybe to fit a Crimson Trace a laser or something on it. But very similar all the way around. Carbon Compact does come with True Glow tritium sights with an orange ring around the front sight and your typical 2-dot rear sight. Very similar again to the Mako. So again, it's just a kind of a big brother. But here's something you don't think an awful lot about, and that is, wait a minute, since they're so similar, what else can they do? Now, again, for the YouTube manual reviewers, the disassembly process is necessary for cleaning. It's explained in the manual, and these guns are empty. So let's take the slide off of the Mako, and I just want to see if something else will work here. You don't have to slide it all the way off the front, as you're doing with many guns nowadays. All right, so again, empty. And pull the slide off of the Compact. Okay, now let's take the slide from the Carbon Compact, and let's just for kicks see if, wow, it fits on the R7 Mako chassis or frame. Wow, so you got a little bit longer barrel, still got the compact grip, and it fits. And also the 15-round magazine from the Carbon Compact will work in place of the, I think this is a 13 round if I remember right. Actually, this one may not be the 13. But the Mako now comes with a longer slide. Now really you can't do you probably could do the reverse, but it'll look kind of funny with all that frame sticking out over the front if you put the Mako slide on the Carbon Compact, but it does work. So interchangeable if you got one of each. Get a longer slide on the R7 Mako. And as long as I have the slides off, let's look at the bottom. Again, the one on the left here, let's get the right frame in the right place. So the one on the left belongs to the Carbon Compact, the one on the right belongs to the R7 Mako, and lo and behold, virtually identical underside. So again, they're going to work, the longer slide is going to work on the shorter frame. The only difference really, in fact, even the recoil assembly looks about the same, just a longer plug on this end where to accommodate for the longer slide itself. But other than that, they even look the same. Same stainless steel 3.92 inch barrel. Again, interchangeability. And to put it back together, you don't have to go all the way to the front. You just set it down from the top, push it back, and voila, you are back in business. So a couple of things that really set this apart and make it unique amongst the striker-fired polymer frame 4-inch compact 15-round guns. First of all, the shape of the trigger guard is a little bit different. You do have a really high undercut here, goes along with the stippling on the frame. And by the way, the frame is carbon infused or carbon fiber infused matrix. Makes it supposedly really, really strong. But high undercut, which really helps get the finger on the trigger. The performance carry trigger is what they call it. Does have a trigger drop safety on it. That's all it is, a drop safety. It doesn't keep the trigger from being pulled if something else hits it. Really, really nice trigger on it. It does have texture on the underside of the trigger guard, which helps get that secondary hand locked in nicely. And for those few people who still like to try to shoot with one finger hooked on the front of the trigger guard, or even two fingers if you're like Lena Mikulik. Now, Lena and Jerry can do it. Very few other people can really shoot well with hooking their just a couple fingers on the front. But anyway, if that's the way you insist on shooting, it does have texture and just a little bit of hook to help keep that hand in place. It does have a mag well on it that is really nice, and the magazine fits flush in with that. It's not a really garish mag well. It doesn't It sticks out a little bit, does help some. It looks like it is removable, although I haven't taken it apart to see if it will. Oh, also comes with 4 back straps. Real high beaver tail, and you can see that it does stick out just a little bit more than it does on the Mako, which really gives good solid hand position. Texture goes all the way up on the frame on both sides. You've got an index point for your thumb if you're right-handed. That's a good solid place to put the thumb. It's got a little shelf on it right there. I don't know how well it shows up in the video, but good place to anchor your secondary thumb. If you shoot opposite hand, then you've got one, or a trigger finger index for when you're in ready position on the right hand side. Good solid index points for your hand. So a lot to like about this gun, and the fact it's interchangeable. But the thing I like best about it is the fact that there is no ejection port on the top. It's only on the side, whereas everything else, Smith & Wesson, I have a problem with it because it's got that loader chamber indicator hole on it, and the optic gets dirty pretty quick. The Glock doesn't have that loader chamber indicator, but it still does have the potential for getting crud on the optic. Rost Martin has that witness hole in there. Again, you get a little bit of buildup on the optic that way, whereas you don't on this. It's side eject, and some people say, oh, wait a minute, you need to have more ejection point available to make it reliable. Not so much. The side ejection so far has worked perfect for me, and I've put a few rounds, in fact quite a few rounds to this, which then gets us into a problem that I had initially. So I did a lot of shooting with this. I shot it at 12, 25, and 50. We'll be rolling that in off and on during some of the discussion here. But for the life of me, I could not make this thing work at 50 yards. I know some of you are going to say, well, it's not a 50-yard gun, but yeah, it should be able to hit reliably at least my 18x24 gong, as well as my 16-inch round plate, and even my 12-inch round plate. It should do those. And I've got a lot of guns that are similar to this that'll even hit the 10, the 8, and occasionally even the 6-inch at 50 yards. Any gun should be able to do that, particularly when you've got a nice hollow sun case sitting on the top.
I don't see it moving.
I took it out several different times to the range, and lo and behold, so I sighted it in once, and
15-inch high right.
tried at 50 yards. It wouldn't work. So I gave up that day, shot some other guns, and came back out a few days later and re-sighted it on a bullseye target at 15 yards. Got it to where it was shooting, where it was at least shooting where I wanted to shoot it, and again struggled at 50 yards. Couldn't understand. Now I'd use my hand-loaded ammunition. Figured maybe that's part of it. So next day I took it out again, different ammunition, different gloves. We may do a video on shooting gloves here in the near future, but different gloves, re-sighted again. This time I sighted in at 25 yards, got it where I wanted to have it, where I could at least, the last 3 shots were clustered right around the bullseye at 25 yards. I'm good with that. Took it back out to 50 and started struggling again. And then I noticed that, I don't know if you see it here or not, but look, when I line up the iron sights, look where the dot is. So this Holosun 407K, and I like Holosun optics, but this has a self-adjusting LED emitter in there that is straying from my original point of aim. So the final time I had it out, I ended up shooting 50 yards with iron sights, got the 16, got the 12, did struggle and not be able to get the 10. If I'd have put some more effort into it with iron sights, turned the dot off so it wasn't distracting, then I probably could have got the 10, maybe even the 8. I think the gun is very capable of doing it. This gun is 100% reliable. It works just as I would expect it to. I love the grip position on it, just enough to hold my hand down here. Good that high undercut that I mentioned, everything ambidextrous, and even works taking the mag out from the right side, of course. There's a lot to like about this. Pricey, okay, it is a little bit higher priced than the others, but man, talk about reliability, and especially not fogging up your optic because you don't have that top ejection port on it.
All right, we'll go back to irons.
There is a lot to like. So this is not just another kind of Glock pattern on mid-size striker-fired polymer frame gun. This has some nice, really nice features on it. Kimber, you did a great job on it. Again, your prices are a little high, but you kind of get what you pay for. Holosun, man, first time I've had a problem with a Holosun optic. Disappointed in that self-adjusting dot on it, but change the optic on it, and this would be a really, really good option to some of the others. In fact, the fact that it's not a Glock pattern, got a lot going for it. All right, a little long-winded here, but just wanted to introduce the Kimber Carbon Compact, and a good non-Glock style option, especially if you've got a R7 Mako, you can swap the slides on it, for a good carry option. All right, thanks so much for stopping in.